Hi, this is Adam from MakerState, and right now I'm going to go through Challenge 1 of the Scratch Basics course. This challenge is called the Great Race, and in this challenge we're going to create a two-player race game that's just going to get us comfortable with some of the basic parts of the Scratch interface, including using sprites, backdrops, and writing scripts. Okay, so to get started, I'm here in a new Scratch project, and I'm going to first add a backdrop by going to the bottom left and clicking on this leftmost option next to New Backdrop, which is this image of the mountains here. I'm going to click on that, and that's going to launch the backdrop library. And I'm going to go down, these are all alphabetically sorted. I'm going to go down to the letter T and pick this track right here. Great, so I have a track. I'm going to go up here to this shrink tool, the inward facing arrows, click on that, and then click on the cat sprite to shrink it down a little bit, and then move that over to the starting line. Now I'm going to select the second sprite to be the other racer. So I'm going to go to New Sprite and pick the first option in that menu, which is this doll, which will launch the sprite library. And I'm just going to pick this beetle right here. There are many sprites, so feel free to pick whatever sprite you want, but I'm just going to pick this beetle right here at the top. And again, shrink that with the shrink tool, and then move that into the starting position. Okay, great. The last sprite that I need is a finish line, because right now we have nothing to mark the end of our race. So to create a finish line, I'm going to go to the Paint New Sprite option, which is this paintbrush right here next to New Sprite. And here I will pick the rectangle tool. I'm going to use this filled box here, the right option. The left option is just the border, but the right option is the filled box. I'm going to stick with this color yellow, and I'm going to create a skinny rectangle to be the finish line, and if I need to, I'll just make it a tiny bit bigger, or if yours is too big, you can make it smaller, either way. And now I have my finish line in place, and now it's time to write some scripts. So again, scripts are what are going to make our sprites actually move and interact and do things. So this is really the meat of what we're going to do in Scratch. And all sprites have their own script, so make sure you don't have, the finish line sprite highlighted if you want to be writing scripts for the racer sprites. To start off, I'm going to write a really simple script just to get some movement going using a when space key pressed block from events and a move 10 steps block from motion. And it's important to note that these event blocks are often going to be, almost always going to be, what we use to start our scripts. They have these nice rounded tops, which mean that we can't add any blocks on top of them, and they're almost always going to be necessary to start our scripts. Often we'll use a when green flag clicked button, when green flag clicked block, I should say, which is referring to this green flag right here. So that's a nice start button for a lot of our projects, and we will use that a little bit later on. But for now, we have this when space key pressed move 10 steps, and we'll see that as soon as I start hitting the space key, my cat moves across the screen. And that's great. Now, next thing we need to do is when we get to this finish line, we have to find out if we're touching the finish line or if we've crossed it, and probably do something when we get to the finish line. And to do this, we're going to use one of the most important blocks in all of Scratch, and really one of the most important ideas in computer science, which is the idea of an if-then statement. And an if-then statement is just a kind of like a cause and effect statement. If this one thing happens, then this other thing will happen. So if I press my foot on the gas, the car will go, right? And in this case, we're going to fill this top, this hole in the if-then statement, which we call the condition that, or not the hole, but the thing that goes in the hole is the condition. And that's going to be, the thing that needs to be fulfilled in order for the then portion of the block to happen. And in this case, we're going to use this touching block from the top of sensing, and you see a lot of these sensing blocks are in this hexagon pointy shape, which will fit perfectly into the top of our if-then block. And I'm going to say if. Now, every time we have this small black downward arrow, we have more options for what we can put in that block. And we want to say if touching sprite 2, because if we look down at our sprites menu down here, this finish line is called sprite 2. So we're going to say if touching sprite 2, then, and there's a lot of things we can do here. We're just going to say, using a say for 2 seconds block from looks, say I win. Maybe some exclamation marks, and let's see if that works. I'm going to continue moving over to the finish line, and we're going to say, I win. Awesome. Now, what we want to do is do the same thing for our other racer sprite, and we could open up the other sprite scripts and rebuild the whole thing, but there's a sneaky way to do this, which is we can just drag this whole script chain down to the beetle, and it pops back up here, and you might think, oh, that didn't do anything. It just went back to where it was before. But if we go to the beetle, here it is in the beetle as well. And what we're going to do here is change the key that is pressed. So each racer has their own key controlling them. So I'm using the right arrow for the beetle. And then I'm going to change what the beetle will say if it wins. Beetle can say, I'm the winner, or something. Okay, great. So if we try this out, we have, oh, whoops, I'm still typing over here. Okay. If we try this out, we have both sprites moving independently, right key, space bar, and when one sprite touches the finish line, I win, right? There we go. And that's pretty good. We're pretty much done with this project. One thing that would be nice would be if there was a way to reset our sprites back to the starting line so that if we run the race again, we don't have to physically drag them over there, which is where this when green flag clicked block is going to come in. So we're going to use this to reset our race when we want to run it, and the block that we're going to pair that with is this GoToXY block over here. And if XY coordinates is a totally new concept to you, don't worry, just go along for now. In the next project after this, we're going to go much deeper into XY coordinates. But the long story short is every position on this stage can be described by a pair of XY coordinates, where X represents your horizontal position and Y represents your vertical position. And if you look at this XY pair where my mouse is over here, this is tracking the XY coordinates of my mouse. Or up here, we can see the XY coordinates of any particular sprite, okay? And this GoToXY block right here will actually change the coordinates inside of it depending on the current location of the sprite. So when I move this sprite over here, these numbers change. So all we have to do is place the sprite where we want it to be, and then we take the GoTo block with those numbers in it. So I'm going to do this for the beetle now as well. Place the beetle where I want it to be, take that GoTo block, and then that when green flag clicked block. And now, we run this race. And the beetle wins. Oh, oops, I have a typo there. Let's fix that. Now, we can bring both of our sprites back to the starting line just by clicking this green flag right here. Okay? So that's going to be it for this project. I'm going to put a title at the top here. I'm just going to call it The Great Race, and then I'm going to save it, or this is already saved, so sometimes Scratch projects auto-save, but if you see the word Save Now up here in the top right corner, you should click that to save your project, and that's going to be it for this video, so hope to see you at the next video.